Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kevin Plays Disc Golf. Today we have a course review from Retreat Farm in Brattleboro, Vermont. My name is Kevin, and I play disc golf. Filming on course for this video was done on June 15th, 2025. The course originally opened in 2000. To get to the course from Interstate 91, take exit 2 for Vermont State Route 9. You'll want to go east on Route 9 towards downtown Brattleboro. After about a half mile, take a left onto Cedar Street. After just less than a half mile, you'll want to go into the small gravel parking lot for the Harris Hill ski jump on the left. The course is across Cedar Street in the woods. The course wanders across walking trails that on the day I went were quite busy. When playing this course, I would recommend a spotter on a couple of the blind holes to make sure that you don't hit anyone over a crest when throwing. Additionally, there are maple sap lines that can come into play on holes 5 through 9, so you want to make sure not to disturb those. I wouldn't expect the course conditions to change much, though it may be easier to play in the late fall or early spring before the foliage is grown in. There is only one course configuration. Trash is carry in, carry out. There are no bathrooms, and dogs are allowed. I'll have my overall review of the course at the end of the video. Be sure to post your comments as to your thoughts of what looks fun and where you think the problem areas are. Now we'll go to the parking lot by the ski jump to get to the course itself.
From the parking lot to get to the disc golf course, with the ski jump in the background, we want to go back towards the entrance of the disc golf course. And there is a small trail directly across the road. And we can follow this trail up into the woods here. And if we go to the left, after crossing the road when we get to the main trail, to get to the area of the basket for hole 1, we want to take a left. Here we follow this main path. If we look out across the road, we can see an entry kiosk to this part of the park. And this is a little bit of a hike to get there. Now, as we approach this intersection, we can see the school off in the background. We have the gate and the kiosk to our left, and where it says Tower Road, and there's this path going left to right. We kind of want to continue on straight ahead. If we look to our right, we can see the basket for hole 2 through the trees. If we continue on this ridge, we keep an eye out to the valley on the right. We can see we have the basket for hole 1 kind of buried in the weeds down there. We go a little bit further along so we can get a little bit better view of it. And there we have the basket for hole 1. I have done some searching and there are no tee pads on any of these holes. So it's just kind of pick a spot and throw from where you feel like is appropriate. Here we are at an area near the basket for hole 1. We can see hole 1 kind of down in the foliage below us here. There is no tee pad. I've done some little bit of searching here, but it is quite clear from the rest of the course that there are no actual tee pads here. So accurate distances are not really going to be a thing. So I'm on top of the ridge, not too far from the road. So I would suggest playing from somewhere up here for the first hole on this course. For the second hole on this course, if we look to our right up here, we can see the basket for hole 2. Here we are at the basket for hole 1. You can see again, there is some foliage here. It's not really that thick, but it could be used to be cleaned out. Again, the big question here is there is no real tee area here from basket of hole 1. If we look to the left of the basket and up, just to the left of that large tree, we have the basket for hole 2. Something else I will point out is some of this underbrush is pricker bushes, so you do want to be a little bit careful of that. And right up here, we have the basket for hole 2. Now around the basket for hole 2, things do start to thin out a little bit. So from here, if we look up and to the left, sort of between those two trees, up the hill a little bit, we can see the basket for hole 3. Hole 3 looks like it may actually be over 100 feet long. It is quite a ways uphill. So we will walk up the fairway from the basket of 2 to the basket of 3. There are a couple of hiking trails up here. And if we follow along, move right up here. This is back across the main entryway, sort of to the park area with the disc golf course in it. So this is the basket that I saw first on my walk in, was the basket of hole 3. It is nice that they are at least numbered so you can tell what order you are supposed to play them in. With our back to the road at the basket of 3, if we look between the two trees straight off in the distance, we can see the basket for 4. Again, if you are playing these, the basket for 3 and also the basket for 4, there's actually a pretty good rollaway potential here, so just something to be aware of. And just beyond the side trail, we have the basket for hole 4. From the basket of hole 4, with the road that we drove in on to our left, if we look down the hill between the trees straight ahead of us, we can see the basket for hole 5. And this is very much downhill, so there's quite a bit of elevation here. Again, not that long, but a little bit tricky to get to. Go down here a little further. It does look like there are some maple sap lines beyond the basket, so you want to make sure you do not go long here of the basket. And here we are at the basket of hole 5. One thing to note, past the basket of hole 5, in the sort of brush down there, kind of straight ahead, is the basket for hole 9. Looking from the basket of 5 down towards the basket of 9, if we turn to our right, we cannot see the basket for hole 6. If we follow back up to the main trail and move up this way, we do need to go down the trail a little bit. This is probably the first hole that is significantly over 100 feet, maybe 150, 175. And we can see on the trail going to the right, that is the basket for hole 6. So we can continue on here. And again, there is quite a bit of rollaway potential if you do go left of the basket here. Once we're at the basket of 6, something else to note, directly to our left, if we look down, we can see that is the basket of hole 8 that is a hanging basket. We're at the basket of 6. We're on the trail above the basket of 6. And if we look off in the distance, straight down, we can see the basket of 7 just in front of the tree that is cut off about 10 feet above the ground. So how we can get there is if we go down to the lower trail, and if we cut down and around, and follow along. Now, one other thing to be careful of is we do have more of these blue maple sap lines that we need to be careful of. So we definitely need to avoid those. And follow the trail. And just up here, we can see that we are at the basket for hole number 7. Standing next to the basket of hole 7, if we look off in the distance, straight away we can see the basket for hole 8 right in front of us. Again, we do need to be careful of the maple sap lines, but this is one that's just a straight shot, probably 140-ish feet or so, and use that to get to the basket. Here we are at the basket for 8. And again, this is a hanging basket. I'm not sure how well it'll show up on camera, but there is a chain hanging from the ropes course. So hole 9, if we remember from earlier, is kind of straight off in that direction. We cannot see the basket from the tee. However, if we go back up to the trail, around the maple sap lines, and go up here, follow along. Now for hole 6, we were in the upper line. Here we want to take the lower line. And we can follow these along through here. And here is a line that has not been disconnected, so we'll have to go under that. And we continue on this grassy path. Just up here to the left is the basket for hole 9. And it does look like this is pretty heavily damaged. So that's going to be an issue playing this hole in this basket, which, given the foliage around and the pricker bushes, again, it is early June here, so these are only going to get worse as the season goes on. This hole is probably not worth playing. To get from hole 9 back to the entrance for the course, we want to continue going uphill. It looks like there are raspberries growing here. We can rejoin up here with where hole 5 is. So to continue, we have hole 5 on our left. There's no real good direct path here, at least coming from hole 9. If we look up the hill, we can see the basket of hole 4. And if we go towards the basket of hole 4, we can get back to another main path here. Once we're on this path, we actually want to take the right path here to get back down to the level of the road. Now we can see the road off in the distance. We have the basket for hole 3. Look to our right. We have the basket for hole 2. And here we have the drive-in entry gate. So here, if we take a left, we can follow this trail. This is the trail that we came in on. And if we go across, there is the parking lot that we started at.
There were no active upgrades that I saw at the time of filming, and course maintenance appears to have been non-existent. The thumbnail for this course was taken from the basket of hole 4 looking to the basket of hole 5. I feel this provides a good representation of what to expect from this course. My favorite hole is hole 6. If you were to take this hole on its own, pick it up, and move it to another course, it would be a short, tight par 3 that requires precision and a good putt to keep from rolling away, and wouldn't be totally out of place. My least favorite hole is hole 9. This hole shows the worst of everything in this course, and may be the worst hole that I have ever played. There is a blind tee shot where you have to avoid maple sap collection lines, down a narrow path that could be considered a fairway, then from there takes an unmarked dogleg through unmaintained brush to a heavily damaged basket. The first and last holes are critical for introducing the course and leaving the last impression at the end of the round. Hole 1 immediately gives you a preview of what to expect from this course. There is no tee area, as there is no course map on UDisc and there is no tee area marked, and the basket is overgrown with brush, some of which are pokey stabby bushes. After playing hole 1, I made the decision to just do a walkthrough of the course and not play it, and from that perspective, hole 1 sets an accurate tone for the course as a whole. To end the round, there's hole 9, which I just mentioned is my least favorite hole, and this sent me away from the course to leave here and never come back to this course for anything other than morbid curiosity. As the person prior to me put in the course conditions on UDisc wrote, "This is not a real course, just some baskets in the woods." Finding the baskets isn't too big of a problem, as they are all numbered, and for the most part, you can see all of the following baskets from some prior point on the course, except for hole 6, but with the lack of tee locations, I'm not sure that I can consider this an actual disc golf course. Navigating this course is like how early expansionists felt crossing the Grand Canyon. You know where you are, and you can see where you're supposed to go, but you have no idea how to go about getting there. This course is safe for discs, mostly because the holes are so short that it's easy to follow where they might go. Long into the brush on hole 5 or hole 9 are the only places where you might lose a disc, but even then the brush is dense enough that the disc isn't too likely to go in too far. The tee pads and tee locations are non-existent. The basket quality is the best thing about this course, with them being Disc Catcher Pro 28 baskets, other than the damage to the hole 9 basket. I have no idea who the target audience for this course is. With this being a small public park that is frequently used, the original target audience may have been for young children just to make stuff up, but in general, I wouldn't want to encourage any kids that I like to go play in thorn bushes. Even if it was a par 2 pitch and putt course or for putting practice, the complete lack of tee pads and maintenance combined with how busy the trails are make this course not a good one to practice that on. My overall course rating for Retreat Farm Disc Golf Course is that I would be willing to drive negative 15 minutes to play this course. What does a negative time even mean, you may ask yourself? Well, if you are standing on the tee of hole 1, prepared to play disc golf, you are better off returning to your car, driving to Memorial Park, and practice putting on the practice basket near the tee for either hole 1 or 2 from 9 different locations than you are attempting to play this course. I had much more fun wandering the trails around the ski jump than I did with this course, and frankly, the ski jump and trails are a fine reason to visit here, but just don't go here expecting anything disc golf adjacent. With the wonderful Memorial Park disc golf course on the other side of town, there is no reason to think about playing disc golf here other than the morbid curiosity, or if you're literally trying to play every disc golf course. My only reason for continuing the walkthrough was to document how bad this course is and actively discourage others from stopping here thinking this might be a real disc golf course. As it turns out, Retreat Farm wasn't a name for this course, it was a suggested plan of action of what to do when you got here. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out my other video linked here or the playlist of my disc golf courses of Vermont and New Hampshire linked in the description.